Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on all things sports in the DMV. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. First up on Legacy on Fire, tune into the breakdown and insights on the New York Knicks' historic championship win and more. On Ravens Verdict, check out the sights, sounds, and insights into day one of the Ravens mandatory minicamp. And on Washington Commanders Update, check out the one-on-ones from offensive and defensive coaches as they chat with Bowie TV's Candi Waller. Don't go anywhere, and as always, enjoy this week's episode of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight.
Yeah, excited to get started this week. Definitely, when we talked last week, talked about this. We should potentially have an NBA champion. We do now. We'll talk about that here in just a little while. And it's just been another fun week in sports. World Cup is in full swing. We had some UFC fighting that happened over the weekend. Some controversy from that. We got the NBA draft next week, and then there's Giannis watch. Giannis is all, the people are starting to chirp where to go. Will it be the Celtics? Will it be here? Person is involved. We can get into all that here. And there's one other, I won't say secret topic, but something I'm going to bring up to James a little bit later to see his thoughts on that when we get into that. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. It's time for one sentence. All right, our first one sentence topic is all about the World Cup. World Cup is in full swing. Everybody has had at least one match right now. We're getting ready for the second wave of matches this upcoming weekend. We know that the United States will take on Australia tomorrow. So a lot of good things about to go down with the World Cup. They've already gotten started. We've already had some really highlight stories. But James, before we go too long-winded on it, what is your one sentence on World Cup action so far?
My one sentence would be so far, Mike got to grab a ticket because we've seen so far this World Cup opening round. We saw a lot of great matches. Of course, here it is in the U.S. this year. And from what we've seen, man, it's a lot of great teams, a lot of great performances we've seen so far. Even Team USA in their game coming out dominating, winning 4-1. And it's like, man, it makes me so excited to see what else comes on. But then also, as we get into that knockout round, it's like, hey, Mike got to hit up Ticketmaster. Mike got to see, hey, SeatGeek, whatever, what's these tickets looking like? Where can we go? Where can we catch a game at? Because on TV, it's been electric. And I know if you get in the stadium live for these performances, the fans from all over the world, it's going to be even more electric, especially as we get into the knockout round. So, yeah, Mike got to inquire about a ticket.
So here's the crazy thing. When you look at the fans, that might be worth the ticket alone. If you're not even if it's a draw, which we've seen quite a few so far. That's the world of football, outside the world, because soccer for us. But that's the world that we know. And man, all I could say is sit to myself, I was like, bro, if I could just go to one, the energy is insane. And I shout out to people like I Show Speed. I feel like his coverage has been really nice. If you into live streaming on the I Show Speed side, Jameis Winston has been there. He's been really fun to kind of see about there at the World Cup. Loving that so far. Now, with all that being said, my one sentence is don't mess with Messi. 3 goals. Hey, look, hey, my man came out and said, yeah, I'm up there in age. This is my final World Cup, but who cares? Hat trick. And if I'm not mistaken, he tied the record. So he's one away. He's one away from being the all-time great. And he's already locked in a World Cup, looking to get number 2. So that's my one sentence. Don't mess with Messi, man, because somebody's got to find a way to take Argentina down. They look good so far. Great run. And I want to give a shout out to all the African teams out there. If they haven't won matches, they've either tied in matches. We saw Portugal tie with Congo. We saw Cape Verde out there doing their thing. Ivory Coast out there killing it. And so it's just like, it's good to see the African nations, they look like they've taken a step up. And they've gotten better each year. We've seen it each year. I don't know if this is the year the African nation pulls off and wins a cup. Not sure about that, but I'm excited to see if it does, James. I'm telling you, man, it's first week.
Definitely. I mean, that's got to be I don't know if that's on the bingo card for 2026, but if it happens, man, I mean, we just saw the Knicks win their first championship in 53 years. If we
True.
get an African winner in the World Cup, it's par for the course at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna be something interesting to see. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, World Cup so far, A1. Next, let's talk our next one sentence, and it's about UFC Freedom 50. Now, this happened this past weekend, last Sunday, on President Trump's birthday at the White House. A big spectacle, a lot going on. Really good. Look, no matter what your political views are on this one, um, it was definitely a very interesting event. I will say that the least. James, what's your one sentence for UFC Freedom 250?
Hmm. I would say my one sentence would have to be new trend unlocked, because we saw how successful this event was being hosted on the White House lawn. Does this potentially open up the opportunity for other sports to possibly look into hosting or having an event on the White House lawn, or the possibilities? What if there was an NCAA basketball game on the White House lawn? What if you could potentially have an NBA game? I feel like this could open the door to way more events or possibilities of events that may be able to be held at the White House. So I think it could definitely open up a lot of opportunities. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. We did have the one guy that went out and made his idiotic comments. And so that might be a little bit of a stain on this event. But all in all, I feel like it was a great opportunity. They capitalized on it well. UFC always tends to be, I guess, that trendsetter when it comes to events, because even going back to the pandemic, they had the whole island where it was like, hey, look, if they can't travel, we'll just bring everybody to this one island. We'll make sure everybody's tested, make sure everybody's clean, and we'll still host and have our matches and things here. So it seems like UFC is always on that cutting edge or trend-setting edge of when it comes to hosting and broadcasting their events. So I'm excited to see what other doors this could potentially open up now that we see, hey, it can be successfully done at the White House.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off you. My one sentence is you could have messed up. You may have messed up a good thing. Um, and I say that because of the comments. I look. I know a lot of people have your own feelings. You may dislike First Lady Michelle Obama. You may love First Lady Michelle Obama. Is still unnecessary. And this goes for all politicians. The politicians lately have been insane. I know this is a sports show, but you guys are talking you brought in politics into sports, so we're gonna talk about it here. But is this insane to kind of like all the way around? Democrats will say things about Republicans. Republicans say Democrat things about Democrats. It's all just like a whole mess right now. And so the atmosphere and the energy, especially it's probably be honest with the last 10 to 15 years, even when Obama was in office, just a whole bunch of just weird energy coming across from people. And it just feels like the energy of like everybody kind of coming together has really taken a really left turn. So hopefully that changes up. But I didn't like the comments personally. You came off of a win. There's a lot of other statements you could have made. I get it. He understood the situation. He was like, "Look, I know what the base is here. Let's make the magic happen. Let's go and see what we can do. Let's throw some controversy." Now, what I didn't like, James, is he comes back next day or whenever he had his press conference and said, "Hey, nobody can take a joke." That's a pretty rough joke. I look, he's not a comedian. If you're a professional comedian, yeah, okay, I get it. Comedians say crazy stuff all the time. That's their job, though, as comedians. You are a UFC fighter. You are not a comedian. So when you say these things in this public eye on the White House lawn, it's just a lot of just weird things. Now, outside of that, I I was one person I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but like if you look at all like the visual, it was really nice for a certain extent. Like they did the flyover the White House with the cage there. I mean, if you're UFC, you gotta absolutely love that. And I mean, the event itself, everybody said was a really good event. They said the energy was good. The soldiers really loved it, which is the most important thing. The soldiers loving it. And I think sometimes it got made out to be, other things than what it needed to be. But I think overall, like James said, this is a potential chance for UFC to continue to grow their brand, do good things. I don't know if they're going to go back to the White House. I think Dana White said it was just too expensive and too chaotic. So, but it does open the door for other things. Overall, I thought the event was good outside of that.
And definitely, I mean, as you said, man, time and place for everything. I think if Jokic could have that moment back. I would hope he choose to go about it a different way. Because again, regardless of how you feel about anybody politically, there's a time and place for everything. That was not the moment for that. This was a moment for you to celebrate your victory. And instead you chose to put your foot in your mouth and now you just look like an idiot. And so we'll see. I'm pretty sure this is going to follow him for a minute. And we'll see what the ramifications of this are. But it's like, my God, you had a great opportunity, and instead of capitalizing on it, you fumbled the bag, and now look at you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But it's like not a good look. Not a good look. If there was a sponsorship deal, it's gone now. Fumbled the bag, bro. Fumbled the bag.
Hopefully he can figure it out for himself. I think the biggest thing overall is they said that he might not even they may not even pay him, because I think Obama, people forget Michelle Obama's a lawyer, so they are tying up his money, his purse money. That's why he had to came out and apologize. She tying up that purse money. Like, look, you're not getting this money until, because look, sometimes you gotta talk in silence.
Got to be more careful.
Yeah, man. She letting the court talk, and I'm like, may have messed up there, my guy. But hey, by all means,
you had your 5 seconds, and now look, potentially about to cost you money.
Boy, I tell you, I know it hurts. Let's go to fire starters next. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Still semi can't believe it. The New York Knicks are the NBA champions for the first time. The first time in 53 years. Just imagine this. There are people that are 52 years old, 51 years old, never saw a Knicks championship that live in New York. Never saw it. Fans their whole lives didn't get to sniff it. Now, those people that are 54, lucky enough they were one. But those people that were, 50, 52, 50, 53, shoot, heck, 52, 51 and all that stuff, they didn't get an opportunity to see the Knicks win themselves a championship. And they did it. James, I know, how we all kind of felt about this series going in. We thought the Spurs may have played a little bit better. To be honest with you, if you really look at it, they led a lot of the games and just couldn't pull it off. What were your thoughts on the New York Knicks winning their third overall NBA championship?
Man, I would say well deserved. Hats off to them. Again, this was a hard fought, well won title. I mean, I definitely thought the winner was going to come out of the West. I mean, I said that multiple times on the show weeks past, that regardless of who won the Western Conference Finals, the champion was going to be crowned in the Western Conference. And the Knicks proved me wrong. They did it 4-1, winning Game 5 on the road in San Antonio to clutch the title. I mean, hats off to them. This was definitely well deserved. They battled back and forth for this. As you said, the Spurs were a competitive bunch the whole series, and there were moments where it looked like they were about to take over the game, and the Knicks always just found a way to battle back. They always found a way to either pull in contention or close the gap, close the deficit, whether it be inside working the paint, whether it be the long ball from three, whether it be stepping up, making plays on defense. They came together as a unit, as a team, and played for each other and secured the championship. And, my hat's off to him. Jalen Brunson winning Finals MVP. He's the leader of that team. He's the face of that team. So I do feel like it's fitting that he got it. I wouldn't have been cool. I would have been cool also if I saw Karl Anthony Towns get it, because I feel like he really stepped up in this series. I mean, a lot of people, me included, felt like this was be a series where Cat would be exposed by a guy like Wemby, but instead he was able to hold pace. I think he was really only in foul trouble, Game 3, I think, when the Spurs actually did win. So I think outside of that, he stepped up, he made plays, he made defensive plays when they needed, and it was a well-deserved championship run. They had the parade today. Safe to say New York City is still standing. They haven't burned it down just yet.
Yeah, they had some moments.
They had some moments. They had some moments.
Some fire.
They had some moments. Don't get me wrong. They had some moments tearing down the buses. Hey, they had their moments. They're enjoying it. Well deserved. I did see that Nike dropped a pair of championship Air Force Ones in orange and blue Knicks colors. I'm waiting for the concepts for those championship Tims to drop. I know it's coming. It's out there. I know it's in the ether. We just got to wait and see what happens, man. But well deserved. Shout out to the Knicks. And honestly, I'd like to see at this point, can they contend going forward? Is there can they keep this momentum and build upon this for next season? We have a lot of guys in the East coming back next year from injury, but let's see if the Knicks go out and can defend their title. I feel like it'll be a great title run next year.
Yeah, this feels a lot like to me the run that Dirk had the year they won their championship. Because I mean, there's a lot of aspects to it, but I feel like that it has a lot to do with what they kind of were able to do in that run, and with the way that these guys just went on this tear, 13 straight wins, except when President Trump come in there, get the loss
Yeah,
and week one, but then they bounce back the next day, or the next game in game four. They went to San Antonio. Our guy Cody Stewart had a chance to be there for game five. We've known Cody for a long time. Cody, got the tattoo
he
today.
got to see it in person.
He has a Nick tattoo. He put a Knicks tattoo on his arm that has the logo within that. I said, all right, but you know what though? At least he didn't do it
Hey, he
preseason.
finally got right.
He didn't do it
He
preseason.
waited till they did it. He saw it happen. He got to see it live in person.
That's crazy.
And so hey, my guy's celebrating with that. Congratulations to him. I don't know if he's gonna get another one. So he said, "Hey, I'm making the most of this one."
Hey, look,
I can't
I
blame
mean,
him for it.
it's definitely going to be tougher next year. You look at this, like you said, the East is going to be a little bit stronger next year. There's a couple of situations that are kind of floating on right now that could change, everything, which we'll talk
The
about two
dynamic
of
of
them.
how different
Yeah,
teams are set
yeah,
up.
and we'll talk about two of them on the show today. But it's just like, you know, thank goodness they grabbed it. People are already starting to say that Brunson is the greatest Nick of all time. I still think that's because this is year 4 for Brunson, right?
I think so.
Now, granted, he's got a championship, so that trumps a lot of what some of the legends did. But even his dad went today said, "Hey, Pat is the greatest Nick of all time." He said, but Jalen needs about 7 to 6 more years of greatness before you can truly be on the level. Even with the ring, he said that Pat did it for such a long period of time. It's hard for you to just be like, he's not the greatest Nick. Then that's going to be up for discussion. A lot of young blood is going to be like, well, it's Brunson. He brought the championship there, but Ewing was consistent for 15 years there. That's a pretty hard thing to do in New York of all places. So I don't want to downgrade it, but if in my heart, he's probably number 2. At the minimum, he's got to be 2. And I know
I
Mel.
mean, what about Clyde?
Yeah,
Man,
well, no, yeah, you
Clyde,
can't forget about
got that
Clyde.
one. Come on now.
Clyde's got a ring in there, so you can't leave out Clyde. But
Clyde's got some take in there. I think Melo's got some take. I feel like the ring might put Brunson above Melo on the all-time Knicks list,
agreed.
especially if Brunson continues this path with the Knicks. I feel like eventually that will have him eclipse Carmelo's status on the Knicks list. But I feel like when it's all said and done, Brunson could be second all-time on the
Yeah.
Knicks.
I'll put him in top 5 out of respect for the ring at the moment. I know some people are like, you guys are stupid. No, I think you got to look at the overall and the amount of years. But what Brunson has done in this 4-year period has been absolutely amazing because he's had the Knicks knocking on the door a couple of times. They probably should have went last year, to the finals, but Halliburton was able to pull that off, and they couldn't pull it
The
off.
Pacers went on the tear last year, and
that's
it's again to that point. The Knicks capitalized on their moment. We saw the Pacers last year. They got their moment. They made it to the finals. Unfortunately, Halliburton tears his Achilles, and at that point, it was over. But the Knicks, they took their moment. They capitalized on it, and they secured their championship, man.
Yeah, I don't want to knock them too much and say, well, look at all the injuries. The injuries are part of it. But hey, you stayed healthy all year. You did what you needed to do for the most part, and you went in there and got a championship. It was probably, and as a Miami Heat fan, it's probably one of the most gratifying moments as a sports fan to kind of watch them win. I love seeing teams that fan bases droughts like that and finally overcoming. It's just the true beauty of the sport, of just sports in general. So it was nice to see. Now I won't like them next year. That's just the Miami Heat in me. Next year, Pat, you got to figure things out. But I am happy for this team this year. All the fans, Spike Lee, guys like that, the Ben Stillers of the world that are the super fans, the Tracy Morgans, that's all cool. All those people in New York have done some crazy stuff. I got a video right before we got on the show. Some girl went and tried to get on the pole, like on the light pole, started twerking
Yeah, I saw that one.
She
Yeah.
couldn't get back down, so she threw the girl off the other girl that was on the light pole to the ground. So then the girl starts punching her and trying to pull her pants down, and she starts twerking. I tell you what, New York is not a
It's
real
New
place.
York.
It's New York
It's
is
New
not a
York.
real place. It's so funny. But no, for real though, shout out to the Knicks. They deserve everything that they got in this one. I think the Spurs are going to be back. The Spurs are going to do their thing next year. They're gonna retool. De'Aaron Fox took a lot of heat in this series, and guess
Yeah.
what? He's getting paid the next 4 years. So there's a lot of bad taste in the mouth for Spurs fans because of Fox. I don't know if that eventually leads to some type of trade. They try to retool some things up. I don't know if that happens right away, but they're gonna have to get probably another star veteran presence on that team, James. They're gonna need somebody else on it, not just my man Kelly Olynyk sitting on the bench and Harrison Barnes. They need a guy in there to kind of help Wimby
Now,
along.
if you could add like a Drew Holiday,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
potentially, I feel like that's a guy scrappy on defense, has that championship pedigree. If you could add him to that roster, potentially, maybe you could move a De'Aaron Fox, or maybe you move a Shan Penny or Keldon Johnson, even though he just won $6 million a year. Because you got to think too, they still have Dylan Harper. He's developing. I mean, a lot of people felt like maybe Harper should have been the starting guard at that point over Fox potentially. So, the Spurs have a lot of great young pieces because we know Stephon Castle and Wemby, their mainstays at this point. There's definitely
yeah,
no way you're trading Wemby at this point.
yeah. And
Um,
want to welcome and really salute. We got a bunch of high school athletic directors and coaches here involved in the girls flag football. Such a really cool thing as far as how far that's come. I think stuff like really when I have a daughter, you start seeing just opportunities like that grow over time, and especially the game of football and how global it's become. Really cool opportunity. Really grateful and thankful for them being here. And the other thing is we got a few guys dealing with some small things, a couple illnesses, a couple little small things. the guys aren't out here. May or may not be back tomorrow, but we're very confident that everybody on our roster will be ready to go at the start of training camp. So just want to kind of knock that out before all the questions about that come. Yep, I do. That's again, I think that's like at some point that'll clear itself up. Again, we feel good about where it's at, and so I would just leave it at that right now.
Just to clarify, everyone's reported and is here.
Absolutely.
So over the next 2 days, what's kind of the messaging for the minicamp?
You know, first of all, it's gratitude to the players and the coaches for the offseason program that we've had. When you hire a new staff and, you know, you put a lot of time and energy into that, you got guys moving from different parts of the country, players coming into something new, having to start 2 weeks earlier than they're used to, which is different for them as well. And so gratitude for them and the kind of the work that we put in, the attendance that we've had, and then simply just a continuation of what we've been trying to accomplish, where we're trying to go. Again, the standards that we're trying to create and uphold every day that'll allow us to reach the ultimate goals that we have. The ultimate goals are cool to talk about at the beginning, I would say, but at the end of the day, it becomes a very day-to-day operation of just trying to get a little bit better every day, trying to focus on the things that impact winning at a high level. The guys have done a great job. I think they've really, taken to what we're trying to get across. And so just love the work that the guys have put in and really appreciative of the effort of both the players and the coaches.
Seeing Calais Campbell out there for the first time ever, what's your impressions, and is it sort of just like, oh my God, how old is he?
You know, Calais can still play at a really high level. I think his tape last season speaks for itself. On top of how he is as a player, you know, he had, I want to say, 6.5 sacks last year. And you know, sometimes like sack numbers, on a team that didn't win a lot of games, and so it's even more impressive, some of the numbers that he was probably able to have, because you're not playing with the lead all the time and really able to tee off. So I'm excited about what he'll bring between the lines to our defense, and then also very excited about him as a person, him as a leader in the locker room. A lot of the guys know him from his previous stint here, what he does in the community, what he does for our team and our organization. We couldn't be more excited to have Calais.
You and Calais had 1 year together. It was your last year here before. What stood out beyond, everyone knows how great of a player he is, but what stood out, how much of a relationship did you guys have? I mean, obviously working on the same side of the ball.
Yeah, I think we just had a very respectful relationship for what my job was and what he was doing. Wink did a great job as our coordinator, getting everybody involved and getting a chance to do things in the game plan. And so you had a chance to sort of speak in front of everybody at different times. But I really just, like, again, I talked about Derek a couple weeks ago, Trey, like the way these guys operate, and you see why they're able to sustain a level of play for so long, how they operate during the week, how they prepare, how they take care of themselves, how they get what they need out of practice, which looks different for a guy his age versus a 22-year-old, but what they need to get out of practice and how they really prepare themselves for Sundays is what really sticks out about Calais.
Yeah, I mean, is there a reason for that long? You can touch about it a little bit, but is there a key for a guy to have that longevity? I mean, 19 seasons now, it's kind of remarkable.
You know, I was talking to him when we signed him, and I think there's a point in time where you kind of figure out what's best for your body, and sometimes, like, the off season really needs to become about your body recovering from 17, 18, 19, 20 weeks. And I think he's got a really good formula for himself that's different than most. I mean, there's not many guys, I don't know if there's anybody on the defensive side of the ball at that age playing at that position. So I think he's just really figured it out. He takes great care of himself. He studies. And, you know, sometimes it takes a little bit of luck to stay healthy all those years. And never have one of those fluky, freaky type of things. And so just again, really excited and happy to add him to the group.
What's it been like getting to know and spend time with Roquan Smith, and what are your expectations for him or what you've seen from him so far?
Man, it's been such a joy and pleasure to get to know Roquan. You know, when you go to a team, you sort of think you know a little bit about guys, but you really have never spent those day in and day out time with them. I know this, that since he and I first met probably in February, he's been unbelievable. I mean, he's a guy that's been one of the major leaders of our offseason program, worked his butt off, practices his butt off, taking ownership of the defense in a way that you kind of hope that a Mike linebacker would. And then what he's done sort of speaks for itself, like the career that he's had. I'm only judging him kind of since I've gotten here, and I could not be more pleased with what Roquan's done. And I expect him to be one of the best linebackers in the National Football League this year.
Jesse, Mike Green was pretty complimentary of just how your entire operation has been. It was very individualized to maximize each individual player. How do you kind of balance enforcing your system and your structure while also, listening to the player and doing what's best for them as you operate, specifically on the defense?
Yeah, I think the job that we have to put these guys in the best position to be successful, both technique-wise, schematically, what we allow them to do. And so figuring out what everybody does best before you just throw out your defense and kind of say, like, this is what we're going to do. I think it's been like that everywhere, and every year, ironically, over the last 4 years, whether it's different positions where the strength of the defense, different levels of the defense where the strength of the defense, and that you can tailor what you're doing around the players that you have. And I think that's the beauty of coaching on both sides of the ball, special teams, everything is, given a little bit of freedom, but also them understanding what it takes to play great team defense and trying to find that balance. The guys have done a great job with that. And so really happy with where that's headed.
Jesse, Marlon Humphrey is back out here. What do you think about Marlon being out at practice again, and where do you see him kind of fitting in with the rest of the guys in the DB room?
Yeah, I think Marlon, again, another guy where, like, what he's done in his career sort of speaks for itself. All the interceptions, all the forced fumbles, all the accolades. Again, he's a guy that loves to be out there and competing in football, and you feel that when he's out here. I expect him to have a really nice year, play up to the standard that he's sort of set for himself, and really excited what he brings to the table.
Jesse, when you look at that wide receiver group, do you feel like it's set up so that you're going to need production from one or both of those rookies? And based on what you've seen, do you feel like they're on track to give you that?
Yeah, I think, when you draft guys third and fourth round, especially, kind of two guys at the position, I do think that, most of the time you'll probably end up getting, hopefully both of them, like a perfect world, they both, develop and play really well. I do think there'll be major opportunities for at least one of them, when you look at the number of guys that we have. I think they've both done a really good job this spring of just learning completely new offenses from what they were used to from their respective colleges. They're both really competitive. They're both really athletic. They both catch the ball really well. They both, I think, have proven to me to be a little bit really detailed for young guys, and very excited about the potential of both those guys.
Jesse, this is obviously your first time where you're answering the questions about injuries, and also our first time interacting with you in that sense. So a lot of this is so we don't ask the wrong question in the future. But what's your stance on injury questions? How do you want to answer injury questions during the season or during camp?
Well, I think, honestly, like in season, the injury report sort of takes care of knowing a lot about what's going on with guys. I try to have respect with the players and talk to them about things. And so we'll try to keep a lot of that, when we can between us. But again, right now we fully expect everybody on the roster, and working through the Nnamdi situation to be ready when we start camp.
Jesse, last week we talked about the defensive guys feeling like they had a chip on their shoulder, something to prove this year. Just kind of what is the sense you've gotten from guys where this defense could be and should be this year?
Yeah, I think it's easy to talk about right now, but I go by the way these guys have worked and their willingness to kind of do things maybe a little different. Tons of respect and love for the coaches that were here before. It doesn't mean they were doing anything, whatever. But when you come in and you want to run things defensively a certain way and do things a certain way, they've had to buy into that, and they have. I think Weave's done a great job being an unbelievable leader for that group, and all the position coaches have done a really good job. So, again, I like where their mindset's at. I like the way that they go about working. And I'm confident that we'll be able to put a defense out there that plays at a high level.
Coach, what's stood out to you so far
You know, it's again, like, he's eager, man. He's really eager to do things right. He doesn't like making the same mistake twice. I think there's, you know, when he strikes a sled, like, it looks different. He's extremely physical. You got to almost tone him down in the periods because of the rules of engagement right now. But I like how hard he plays. I like the swagger, the edge that he sort of brings when he's on the field. I like how he's learned everything and picked it up to this point. And, man, he'll be a guy that when the pads come on, it'll be really exciting to kind of see what that looks like.
Wink out there, obviously, which has kind of been dialogue between you and him.
Yeah, Wink is one of my mentors. He was the coordinator here 18, 19, and 20 by 3 of my years here. Always empowered me. We had a really awesome relationship. Our families had an awesome relationship, still do. And so anytime guys like that can come around and sort of check out what you're doing, again, give you a set of eyes, you know, it's awesome to have Wink around. Ravens legend, by the way. I mean, this guy had, I know 2018, the number 1 defense in the league, 19 and 20, you know, top 5 defenses. So one of the best coordinators in Ravens history.
All right, good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. Thank you. I mean, not a lot of first-year head coaches come into a situation where there's Super Bowl aspirations. How do you think he's kind of handled that, like basically the pressure of a new job like this?
Yeah, very excited to have Coach Minner here. And all it is opportunity breeds more opportunity, and I know he's very excited about it. So are we, and I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to show who we are.
He said that you're really kind of taking ownership of the defense that's being installed. What have the conversations been like between the two of you as he's installing the system along with Anthony Weaver and just you taking ownership of that?
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I think his track record speaks for itself. It's been proven wherever he's been, whether that's the college ranks or the league ranks, and I think that speaks for itself through the actions. And so I'm very excited. It's very clear, precise on what he wants. So I'm excited to just go out and show exactly what myself as well as the defense are all capable of doing within the framework of the scheme.
What about his defense excites you specifically?
Oh, yeah, I just think it's a method behind the madness. And I think there's like clear, clean communication on what's expected in each and everything. And that's always allows each and every player to play to the best of their abilities and fast as well, where you're not hesitating or anything like that. So I'm excited about it, and I think it's going to be good for all of us.
Roquan, looking back, how would you assess your season last year?
I think personally my season, it wasn't the season that I wanted to have regardless of the circumstances, because you can't control circumstances regardless of what circumstances you're put in, so you control your response. And so no excuses at all, but wasn't the season of my standard, nor was it from a defensive perspective as well. So I feel like you got to first start with yourself prior to going anywhere else.
How much is that something that you addressed kind of first day back in the building and meetings, looking back at last year versus just really turning the page, especially with the new staff?
I think that starts with the beginning of the offseason, regardless of who's going to be here. I think we're all pros, so you know how to truly assess yourself and what you did and what you did not do. So I think each and every man has to be true to themselves and look themselves in the mirror. And yeah, there's a high standard, especially here from the defensive perspective, as well as from my perspective, because five All-Pros and not making it, something like that, like that's just personal. And so obviously there's a standard, and that wasn't quite there, nor was it the standard from the defensive perspective. So, but that's all in the past for a reason, and all we have is right now, and that's all we can focus on. Can't dwell on the past because it's in the past for a reason, and life you can't rewind, nor in the game of football, so you have to think about it with a forward approach.
We just heard Calais call Anthony Weaver his favorite coach probably of all time. What's it been like for you to work with Anthony Weaver? What do you think he can do for this defense?
Yeah, I'm very excited to have Weave back here. I think first and foremost, he's a tremendous man. What he stands for, how he vibe, how he rolls, how encouraging he is, the teacher that he is. So I just think it's awesome having him back in the building. And like when you just have great people around, it just inspires you even more to do things the right way. So I think he's a great asset for us, and we'll definitely lean on him in many ways but one. So excited to have him here.
Have you seen Trenton Simpson grow as you've worked with him over the years, and what are you expecting out of him this season?
I think no one have more expectations of themselves than Trent, first and foremost. And the way the guy's been working, this is the best I've seen him since I've been around. And, like, it's the first year he's had the same position coach. And, like, whereas, like, the material and the terminology is, like, the same person's teaching it to him. So I think that plays a big part, especially when you're a young player transitioning into a new position, because truth be told, like, well, when he first came here, that was truly like his first time really playing inside linebacker. But obviously this game don't wait for anyone, and he's well aware of that as well. But I know he's preparing and he has the right mindset. He's not making the mistakes that he's made in the past. And even if he do make a mistake, which we all do as human beings, he's not making those same mistakes twice. So I'm very excited for where he's going to go. And I think it's a big year for him, a contract year. And I think he knows that. And it's a contract year for the defense as well. Every year is. So just got to think about it like that and go from there. But I'm very excited for him.
What do you think about the front line of the defense? They bring back Calais, sign Hendrickson, and draft Zion Young. What do you think of that group on the front line?
Yeah, no, got some dogs up front. So, like, having dogs up front definitely allows you to get everyone around to play better. So I think once you have certain caliber players like a Calais, like a Trey, like a Zion, like a Mike Green, like a T-Rob, like a whoever is out there, and I just think those guys have a standard for themselves as well as the standard with the defense here. So I know those guys are very excited. I'm excited to have those guys here. Big Travis, Beeks, everybody. So, like, I'm very excited. When you have dogs out there, it just makes everyone's job a lot easier. So excited to have those guys, and I know they're very excited to be here as well.
All right, Bowie television watchers, Candi Waller again checking in from Commanders Park, this time with outside linebackers coach John Pagano. Making sure I'm saying that right.
You said
Coach
it.
Pagano.
Great.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yes. All right. So, admittedly, I found myself staring at the OTA's roster, looking at all of the outside linebackers currently.
And what'd you find? And what'd you find out? What'd you find out?
Well, it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's what I found out. It's a lot of them. So overall, talk about the strengths that you have currently with this round.
It's really just we're building a process right now of really trying to implement what the guys are learning and having an understanding. The two guys that we signed that were big acquisitions of, Dafe and KC were guys that Adam and Lance and DQ went out and really went after, and to be able to get those athletic type edge players and having Dorrance, Armstrong being able to come back and working all the younger players in there. It's been good, but it's really just understanding the process right now of how the mental aspect of learning and building this defense.
What have you seen out of Javonte Jean-Baptiste?
Getting better every day, like really truly improving. I think the most important thing for him was always, just really, within his first 2 years of staying healthy. And I think guys have a better understanding of when you are a pro, it's always about that, taking care of your body and how I need to strengthen it and do those things. And I think with Baptiste, he's had a really good, productive offseason of just understanding and learning like everybody. I mean, I put a lot of these guys just right in there with me because it's all a new language, all new defense. And, I enjoy it so much going in every day because you get that opportunity to learn something new. And I'm always about learning. Like, no matter how old or how, you get in this profession or career, I'm always about learning new things. And it's been good, not only for myself being able to learn it, but also being able to teach that to the guys.
And last season, you could kind of even see in the numbers when Dorrance Armstrong was injured and had to go on IR, the change there.
Sure.
So how do you know anything about his rehab and how he's progressing?
Nothing on it. I have no idea on injuries. So that would be a Dan Quinn question always.
And so overall, what have you seen from Dorrance since you've got
he's been great in the meetings, been, very intent, asking questions, helping younger players. I think that's the best thing that a lot of our veteran players have done, is getting those guys to be able to communicate, because it's always that understanding of guys truly learning, from the older players, and I'll call upon them to be able to be those guys, to have an understanding and be able to talk to them and say, hey, I'll flat out say, at times, how would you handle this? Or what would you do in this situation right here? And I think, for younger players, hearing guys that do it out there on the field of what we're trying to do in certain situations, I think that helps.
And one last one from me, Joshua Joseph.
Yeah.
What have you learned and seen from him so far?
Great kid, great in the meetings. He's a rookie. He's got a lot to learn.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Okay, Bowie television watchers, Candi Waller back again at Commanders Park. This time I'm standing. Coach Tommy Donatel, the defensive backs and safeties coach. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Doing all right. So OTAs is wrapped, going into mandatory camp. How do you feel like OTAs is working so far with your position group?
It's been great, and then it starts with Coach Q and Coach Jones leading the way, setting the tone. The guys are hungry. Coming off of last year, they really want to make those improvements that we need to do, and it's been a great learning time with the new system with Coach Jones, and he's done a great job teaching the vision of it and how it's supposed to look all together. So it's been a really cool learning time for everybody and growth, kind of a new system, new style, and everyone's really excited about it.
So let's talk about Coach Jones for a moment.
Yeah.
How has it been? I know he's new to the defensive coordinator role, but of course not new to coaching and defenses in a number of areas. How's it been working with him?
He's super natural in this position. He's very clear on what he wants and the vision, and he can paint the picture for the players and coaches to coach. So super excited to work under Coach Jones and learn from him. He has a great expertise in the back end, which is what I coach with Coach William Gay, and every day I'm getting new tidbits of knowledge from him and how he sees things in the back end, how he sees the system working together. So it's just a great time right now in the spring of growth and eagerness to learn and get this system in place for these guys so they can go play fast.
So I want to ask you about a free agent acquisition from last season, Will Harris.
Yes.
And then he didn't experience the full season because of injury. But what have you seen from Will within the last year?
Will is such a steady force for us in the DB room. Like you said, he came off early in the season playing well and had that injury, came back late, and just the fact that he came back from that surgery off a broken bone was, just shows you what kind of competitor he is. He opted for that surgery and came back, and we love Will in our room. He's a veteran leader that's been through some of the battles, and he's got great knowledge of the game, and he's tough as nails. So he's got some versatility as well, that can play multiple spots, and he can match up versus tight ends and all that. So very, very good piece for us, good pickup last year to add to the room.
And then a free agent pickup from this season, Nick Cross.
Yeah.
What can you share with us about him?
I love Nick. Love working with this guy. He's got a lot of knowledge as well for a young guy. He's only 24 years old on his second contract. So super excited working with Nick. He knows what he's talking about as far as football, wise beyond his years. And he's also another versatile player. Big, fast, explosive. Likes to do a lot of different things at the safety position. Creates some versatility in our room. So he's also been a great addition to us as well.
I'm going to ask about two players who've been here for a bit. Quan Martin coming up first. Where have you seen Quan kind of evolve the most in the last couple years that you've been with him?
Yeah, Quan's another safety that we've enjoyed working with, and he's learned, right? So he's had some really good stuff for us on tape, and then he's just continuing to learn the position, and I think this is going to be a really great system for him to thrive in. He's got a lot in his body. Has good range. His brain works really well back there at safety, so we're going to just continue to look for him to make that next step in his development as a safety.
And then Tyler Owens, what have you seen in him first in the last few seasons?
Man, I've been super impressed with Tyler. Every single year he's made that step and earned more playing time on special teams, on defense, and we're looking for him to have, as big a role as he wants to this year. So it's all out there for him, and he's another big, fast guy that we want to get on the field as soon as possible.
There has been a lot of conversation around the green dot, and I think, maybe in some systems it's been mostly like maybe a linebacker role, but safeties can play that role as well. What are some of the attributes overall for safety to take from that?
Yeah, so I was with Derwin James at the Chargers, and he wore the green dot with us for a couple years, and it's a good challenge to have that. And safeties are communicators, but that's up for Coach Jones and Coach Quinn to make those decisions with the green dots, but it is a possibility.
All right, Bowie television watchers, here with Coach William Gay, coach for the defensive backs, cornerbacks specifically. And admittedly, I was like, I don't know, do we do this on camera or not?
Everything got to be on camera. Look, everything I say, we good.
Exactly. So far, OTAs just ended, mandatory minicamp next week. How do you think things are going so far for your unit?
Man, I'm loving it. Just coming in ready for the challenge. I mean, even from the coaching side, just getting a new scheme. And then you have to learn that scheme and then give it to the players, and then they have to go out and display their talents from your teaching. So I thought that was like amazing. And just to see the guys take on that challenge and not run from the challenge, that was cool to me. And then to see them compete, you always want to see that out of your group. And like I said, it brings a smile to my face to see that. So now I know as this thing gets into a training camp, as long as we're competing, the effort's great, the mind great, and then the brotherhood is great, man, everything else, man, is just a blessing.
So how has it been working with Coach Jones?
It's been incredible. When he first got here, we had like a 2-hour meeting, and I was just excited because, DQ just ain't gonna pick anybody. So when he picked him, I was like, all right, I need to make sure I learn everything from him because DQ just not gonna put anybody in that spot. So when first meeting with him, I'm like, yeah, he a real one. And then he went to an HBCU, so I'm like, all right, he'll cool. He went to HBCU, so he know a little something, and then I think he'll Q. So I'm like, man, and then from the DMV, so I always tell him like, hey man, we gotta put on for the city. Even though I'm not from here, I done been up here 3 years, so I'm like, hey man, I stay in the DMV now. So just letting him know, like, man, just learning from him, knowing that, man, we got to put on for the city. The city deserves it, and so that's what we're here to do.
Mikey Sanders still seems like each year he gets a bit more vocal, a bit more active. What have you seen from him so far? Yeah,
I mean, as time, and he needs to do that. Being that leader in the room, especially in that DB room. It's we call it, we ain't got the divas, but they are something. We're on the spotlight. So a lot of them, they're known, or that's how they carry themselves, and that's how you got to carry yourself with confidence. And so to have that brotherhood, to have a guy that's grounded, that's leading the troops, you always want that. And it has to come from everywhere. So I challenge all our guys to have a voice within that room, because within a brotherhood, everybody gets to say something. Everybody's important. And so that's how we kind of treat it, from the guy that's on practice squad all the way to the starter. Everybody's important. Everybody has a part. And if you ain't got your hand in the pie, you got to get up out of here.
So I think it was Tuesday was my first time meeting Amik Robertson. Like, actually, I mean, he's done a scrum, but that was my first time meeting him. What have been your initial impressions of Amik so far?
Oh, man, love him. And not for what he brings on the field, what he brings off the field. You kind of, like I said, I can only do so much. Me and Tommy can only do so much as a coach. But when them guys leave, they met on a trip, I think one time, working out with DBs. So things of that nature that he brings to the table that you can't buy at Walmart. And that's what I love. I'm like, man, if I can get that down to every person in the room just elevated within just brotherhood. Because they're going to compete. They're going to learn. They're going to do everything they need to do on the field. But if you get that brotherhood tight, because sometimes in this world, we kind of be just on ourselves, or as far as just like we're on our accomplishment. How can I get on this team? But when you got guys that are put team before me, man, it makes coming to work a lot easier.
And then one last one from me. Trey Amos, we know he's coming back from injury, but what have you just seen from him over the last year?
Oh man, that's my little dog, man. Just with him seeing Amik, seeing Akello, seeing Mikey, and just learning from them, talking to them, especially not being able to be out there yet. Just seeing being in the classroom with them, learning their lingo, their talking. So, man, sky's the limit for this group. And like I said, my job is to be the best teacher, and that's my way of having my hand in the pile, so that I can be a great cheerleader on game day.
Back yet again at Commanders Park, this time with Special Teams Coordinator, Coach Larry Izzo. And Coach, we've done this a few times now.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you. And I don't know if you know my feelings about the Special Teams unit and how that sets the tone for the game.
Yeah.
So how are things going right now with your unit?
Good. It's still early. We're still trying to teach the techniques and the fundamentals that we're going to apply during the season in every phase. So that's the spring and minicamp focus, is to just get everybody understanding what tools they need to do their jobs. And so guys have come in, the new guys and the guys that we got from other teams have come in and done a great job of understanding that. And then obviously it's still early. We're still trying to identify what roles guys are going to have, and we'll take that into training camp and see how it all shakes out.
So with that, what are some of the key attributes of being a great special team?
I think it all starts with effort, strain and effort. Guys, for us, we want guys flying around, playing fast, playing physical. And so guys that maximize their effort every time they're out on the field. You get a bunch of guys playing with that same play style, running and hitting and looking to impact the game in our phase. I think that's going to lead to good things. The more of those type of guys you have, the better you're going to be. And so we take a lot of pride here in our special teams. Coach Quinn does a great job of emphasizing the importance of it and how we represent, the whole team every time we're out there. Like we start the games, we start the halves. Like after scores, we're covering kicks, when we're answering scores. So it's really important for us, as a unit, to every time we go out on the field to impact the game in a positive way. And so, guys that are out there playing with great effort and understanding the role that we have as they're, competing for tackles is what we're looking for. Guys that are just flying around, play style, running, hitting, playing fast, playing physical. Those are the qualities that we're looking for, and that's what we're looking for in the spring, is to identify, like, okay, these are the guys that kind of fit that role, and we can see them having some roles for us here, and then we'll take it into training camp and see where it leads.
And so with that, how does one then, say they're trying to make the roster, maybe they're not automatically sure, and I know oftentimes it's said that special teams could be a way on to a roster. I know Revo talks about that a lot in his journey. So is it more of just the additional effort or just overall skill set that kind of, we set to one aside to say, yes, I absolutely need them on this roster for special teams?
Well, no doubt that, like, special teams is the fastest way to make an NFL roster. Like, that's the first thing we tell the rookies when they come in here day one, is special teams is how you can make a roster, okay? Like, if you have roles for us in our phase, in special teams phase, the more you can do, the better chance you're gonna have of making a team or just being active on game day. And so that's the guy.